rise. Elsewhere, 7 people were forced to leave their homes in the village of Singleton. More rain, high winds and a high tide are expected tonight.
Lifeboatmen moved into the village of Singleton this afternoon, offering to evacuate those cut off by floods.
We've done the whole street now.
With the level rising by several inches, 7 families left this morning and others fear they may be forced to follow.
Like I say, it's been gradually coming in about an inch sort of just above the fireplace. They've been keeping it out, and just today it's just got come right up.
It's gone up about 5 inches since yesterday.
Is it getting worse and worse?
Yes, it is.
Fire crews are touring villages north of Chichester. As the rain sweeps down the hills, more flooding is inevitable. It's also seeping into the centre of Chichester, threatening to cause more flooding in the Hornet area. They've been on a knife edge all day. The River Lavant is at its highest level since Sunday after half an inch of rainfall. But they're pumping out 5 million gallons a day, reducing the risk and allowing businesses to operate as normal.
The levels are higher, but we're pumping more. There's an awful lot more water to come, which we feel we can cope with. But the quiet and calm you see now is actually a controlled and managed situation because of all the efforts that people are putting in.
Extra sandbags have been ordered in case they have to build a temporary canal through the Hornet. Sandbags are in great demand. This family just outside Chichester is turning out 300 an hour. Family and friends are working round the clock to meet demand. 200,000 are needed for homes and businesses.
We've got lorries coming with sand. We're expecting in at least 250 tonnes today. And sandbags going out while we're just trying to keep up with as many as we can.
In the past half hour, the Lavant has started breaching defences in the Hornet yet again. Several Army Green Goddess engines are on standby in case they fail to hold back the water.
Well, joining us now is Guy Phillips at Chichester. Guy, what's happening at the moment?
Well, that overflow has been contained now. It was minor, it's now contained, and the concern is for tonight. We're standing here on the dam that's the most vulnerable point in the city centre. The water is continuing to come in down here, and it's fingers crossed that it isn't going to burst through. Alongside me is the Emergency Planning Officer, John Williams. Can you tell
Sally Taylor. Lifeboats come inland to rescue flooded families.
Dorset County Council says no to a hunting ban.
Will Shilton be the saviour of the Saints?
And bought for £200 the priceless Bach piano.
Hello, good evening. After yet another deluge of rain today, there are flood alerts for dozens of rivers in the region again this evening. Even lifeboat crews were used to help in the rescue of families at Singleton in West Sussex after flood waters inundated their homes. Army Green Goddess fire engines have arrived in East Hampshire to help the fire service clear flood waters from homes there. And in the Thames Valley, thousands of acres of farmland are under water. Charles Rose reports.
Pumping out is still underway in the East Hampshire village of Hambledon. 40 homes in the area have been flooded. More than 30 firefighters using 7 pumps have been working round the clock for the last 6 days, pumping out cellars. 8 Green Goddesses from Staffordshire with more powerful pumps are on their way to help. The sheer volume of water running off the surrounding hills has turned village streets into rivers. To help with the pumping, an extra 4 miles of piping has been brought in. In the Thames Valley, river levels are being closely monitored. The Thames is on amber alert along its entire length. Thousands of acres of agricultural land are under water. Riverside roads are under a foot of water and nearby properties have been flooded. Householders haven't been able to get into some of their garages for several days. Inside, possessions are stood in up to 4 feet of water. Within the last hour, Hampshire's hard-pressed fire crews have received welcome news. The Green Goddesses on loan from the Home Office have arrived at last.
And the very latest we have is that dozens of rivers across the south are on amber alert, where there's a risk of flooding to low-lying buildings. On the screen here, we're told that water levels on the Mole, the Wey and the Bourne in Surrey, they're high. The River Loddon in Berkshire and the Kennet in both Wiltshire and Hampshire at risk. And in the west, there's only been the odd shower today, but rivers there still very full, particularly the Avon between Salisbury and Christchurch.
Well, as we said earlier, lifeboat crews were called to the village of Singleton in West Sussex, which is about 7 miles north of Chichester. As the flooding continues to wreak havoc in parts of the county, some householders are angry that insurance claims may take months or even years to settle.
Lifeboats were launched in the village of Singleton this afternoon as water levels rose alarmingly. As it turned out, no one was trapped, but many houses, including Sue Martin's, looked uninhabitable.
We haven't slept for a whole week. We've been like this a week. We're in 8 inches of water throughout the house. We've had the fire brigade here twice, and they're here now, as you can hear. I think I'm just living on adrenaline at the moment. My body's just had it. It's awful.
Although she's fully insured, Sue Martin has been told it'll take 18 months to process her claim. She runs a gallery with her boyfriend. It's been closed indefinitely. And a few miles away from Singleton, this is the River Lavant at East Dean. Normally it's a dry ditch, but now it's overflowing, much to the dismay of the villagers. Although June and Susie Pratt aren't so badly off as Sue Martin, while it continues to rain, their house on what was the village green of East Dean is under constant threat. So far, electric pumps have kept the water at bay. What they fear most is a power cut.
Getting worse, definitely. We've been up till 2 o'clock some mornings filling sandbags, trying to do what we can. I think it's got to the point where there really isn't much more we can do now. Just got to sit it out.
Around Chichester, police say traffic flow, although slow, has improved since the army installed Bailey bridges to the east of the city. And tonight, flood defences seem to be holding in all but a few places.
Well, joining me now live from Chichester is the Emergency Planning Officer for West Sussex County Council, John Williams. Mr. Williams, I mean, what's the situation now? Because it would seem to be getting a little bit more serious down there, the latest situation. You're going to leaflet households tonight and bring in extra marine pumps tomorrow.
Yes, certainly. With regard to the leafleting, this is something that's been prepared by the County Council as a precaution to give the locals of Chichester an idea of what is happening and what is being organised on their behalf by the County Council and the other organisations who are involved in this operation. We're also taking the opportunity to give them advice on the back of this leaflet over just precisely what precautions they should take should the situation deteriorate.
So are you less confident now?
No, not at all. I think as a planning officer, I have to take precautions, and this is one of the measures that has been jointly agreed by our coordinating committee that should be taken as a sensible measure.
How about the cost of all this? Are you actually at a point now where you need government financial help?
Unfortunately, as I said earlier, I'm a planning officer and I'm not a financier. There are people who are scurrying around gathering up all the figures of the cost of this operation. My understanding, however, is that we're nowhere near the trigger point where we would expect government support.
John Williams, for the moment, thank you very much.
Other news now. Keith Hanger